I have been blessed with One Piece this week. Hey everyone, welcome back to How to Train Your Gavin. In today's video, I will be reading the entire Punk Hazard arc of One Piece. This one begins the Dressrosa. According to some places online, this is the start of the Dressrosa Saga, and it covers chapters 654 through to 699. We are pretty much in the New World now. I haven't quite got there just yet. We have just departed Fishman Island, and I cannot wait to see and taste and smell what the New World is like. Before I get into it though, I want to share some really incredible One Piece news that just made me so happy this past week. So you know how I'm collecting the One Piece card game? I've been getting the starter packs, the booster decks, the booster boxes, all this, that and the other, but I can't open them until I've caught up, of course. I found out the other day that there is an official One Piece card game store in my hometown, and it's the only one outside of Japan. And it's in my hometown. So I went there the other day, I bought myself a booster box, and I cannot believe that it's in my hometown. I need to catch up on One Piece straight away because one, I want to see what bloody cards I have, and two, I want to go to this card game shop and play actual tournaments and meet One Piece fans in real life. I'm so surprised that it's here. Anyway, that's just put me in such a One Piece mood. I just cannot wait to get into another arc of One Piece. I really enjoyed the Fishman Island arc, so if you haven't yet watched that, I do have a playlist down below with all my One Piece videos. And I was talking to my One Piece channel members as well about this on a live show, just how amazing it is to finally be in the New World. Saying that, I have heard really mixed things about the Punk Hazard arc. I've had a few comments on my Fishman Island arc saying that Punk Hazard is a really bad arc. But I want to go in this with my own thoughts and opinions. I will let you know how I get on. I did end up liking the Fishman Island arc more than I guess a lot of people did. And we're really going to say what I think of this. So don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoy and subscribe if you haven't already. Now let's get to reading. Yeah, bring it on! We're in the New World now, lads. I can't quite see exactly what this New World looks like because there's just a whole load of whales in the way. But I'm taking their word for it. It's like the entrance of hell, surging ocean of fire, seas of red. Is this New World seriously filled with oceans of blood and stormy weather? Because that's awesome. To be honest, I wasn't too sure about the start of this chapter with Nami in the shower and Sanji and Brook watching. I will say, I did have a lot of comments about Sanji in the Fishman Island video, and I love all the comments helping me to understand a little bit more of like what Sanji's gone through, and like with no spoilers, just like what I should have already known, and I guess just a bit more understanding towards him. And like I do want to say, I do not hate Sanji. He's probably like one of my least favorite Straw Hats, but I'm really excited to learn more about him. I have heard that he does have a bit of a redemption later on. I don't mind Sanji being a simp, I just hate when he's a perv. And at the minute, it's like Brook and Sanji are the biggest pervs on the ship because they're both watching Nami shower. And Chopper is there, bless his heart, but he isn't perving. He's just having a conversation with Nami. And, you know, I don't mind having these kinds of scenes with Nami. Because, yeah, I mean, if I was on the ship, I would want to take a nice shower in the Thousand Sunny because it looks amazing. It looks incredible. And Nami deserves it. She's waited 2 years for this. Another thing I will say about Sanji as well is that he actually did make me laugh out loud in this chapter too. It's when he takes a head count. He says, first head count, did we lose anyone? Nami, here. Robin, present. Okay, that's everyone. Let's get out of here. Well, obviously that's not everyone, Sanji, but it's all he cares about, isn't it? But it's funny. It's so funny. My heart was in my mouth here because I genuinely thought that was Laboon. He has the same kind of marks, but I remember that, didn't Luffy draw like some kind of straw hat symbol on him, like a Jolly Roger? That looked god-awful. Like, Luffy should not be drawing anything on anyone. But it's like a mark of the Straw Hats, and this one doesn't have that, but there are different whales with the marks on their heads, just like Laboon's was. So it tricked me. It really did trick me. And even Brook, like Brook was so happy because he thought it was Laboon at first, leading to Brook singing, and it actually helps guide them, and the whales help them to get back to the surface, or like get to the New World at least, while everything else is chaotically going on under the sea, which is something that I have been absolutely loving in One Piece, especially in Fishman Island, when we saw the depths of when they were diving down towards Fishman Island and we could see the journey. And I think the journey to Fishman Island is like one of my favourite journeys to an island ever in One Piece. And now the journey out is just as dangerous and just as comedic, honestly. Even in the New World, we have Luffy, Usopp, trying to catch the biggest fish out there for food, And it's something that has been such a recurring thing. It seems like whenever we have these scenes on the ship between adventures, the main discussion is food. And the fact that this is so prevalent still after 2 years is incredible to say, because they have changed, but they still keep their core values. And like, you know, like we can have moments like this that remind us of the old days and the good days, and there are things that I don't want to change about them, and this is one of them. It's the banter between them on the ship, them trying to catch the biggest fish possible, kind of working together to get it too, because Zoro has to help, in Usopp, in Luffy, a different type of teamwork that I always love to see. And another good Sanji moment is when he's burnt to a crisp and he says, wow, thanks guys, can't wait to cook these deep sea fish up. And he just looks happy. He looks happy because he's about to do what he's going to do, even though he's just been like electrocuted. The White Storm appears and it looks like Robin, Nami, Usopp are, I think, the only ones in Chopper are the only ones who are really concerned about it. While Luffy's like, oh my god, is that a magic warp zone? Like, no. But he sees the best in this awful situation, because if they do get swept up in it, they could end up going miles and miles and miles off course with all the crew dead, and Luffy doesn't hear that. He just hears adventure. But it was a really magical moment to see the whales show up to help them and to really set them on their course. Now that we're definitely in the new world, like, they're up on the surface. They are up on the surface. I need the wheels to move out the way so I can see exactly what this ocean looks like, because at the minute I'm picturing like Dante's Inferno right now, and to see exactly how our Straw Hats are now going to fare with their first adventure in the new world. Whoa, there's a dragon and it talks? Inhabitant of Punk has a dragon. Who goes there? What? Oh my gosh, I didn't realize we would actually meet a dragon. And I'm sure this One Piece world has pretty much everything you can imagine. But believe me when I say I just wasn't expecting to see a dragon. A dragon in this arc. It just... What? It does feel like maybe it was obvious because of the whole burning sea. I mean, it might be unrelated. But the fact that there was... I mean, the sea is hot. It's burning and there's fish, bones of fish floating everywhere. And it does look like something's happened here. Maybe the dragon's like burned everything up or something. It looks so treacherous and dangerous, and it does make me think, yeah, I don't think the Going Merry could have got to this place. As much as I love and miss her, the Thousand Sunny is the one for the job. So it was good that we had that level up with the ship. But Luffy, he doesn't seem to have leveled up in terms of general common sense, because the transponder snail is crying, and I'm sure we had, was it... Yeah, it was literally in the Fishman Island arc when he is challenging Big Mom, and, you know, he picks up the phone and he's like, yeah, I ate all your sweets, what of it? You know, he's just like, he's got no filter, essentially. And Robin's warning him that it could be a trap, and he's just like, hello, Luffy speaking, future Pirate King. I always want Luffy to pick up the phone this way. I want this to always be his greeting. I never want him to change that, but it's so funny. It is so funny. There was talk about samurais as well, which, you know, we met one in Thriller Bark, and I'm pretty sure they were a samurai from Wano. And Wano was mentioned again in here. Indeed, samurai is the title of the swordsman from the land of Wano. Wano is a nation with closed borders. No outsiders are allowed within. They aren't even affiliated with the world government. And these samurai are so powerful that even the navy not dare to breach their territory. So the fact that we are getting more mentions of Wano and the people there, we're building up to it. You know, we're building up to it. I know there is a huge arc coming up, the Wano Country arc or whatever it's called. I know we're getting there, and it just feels so much bigger now because of the amount of times we've been told about it, and, you know, it's been spoiled in. It was almost like how Fishman Island, we were supposed to get there after Enies Lobby, and it took so long to get there. It was constantly kept getting brought up as our next adventure, and this is the goal, this is where we need to go, and then finally we got there. So that's what it kind of feels like. I love seeing Smoker and Tashigi again. Smoker is looking... And Robin was partly right, you know, it was tapped so that they know where the Straw Hats are. And they are going to Punk Hazard. The person on the transponder snail was like, you know, they're killing everyone. I'm on Punk Hazard. And it's just so mysterious. And I love the fact that Luffy's like, oh, we have a mystery on our hands. It's very Scooby-Doo and Agatha Christie, you know? Is this arc like Scooby-Doo meets Agatha Christie? Are we trying to solve a mystery here? Because I'm all in. I'm good at solving mysteries. I can do this. Obsessed with the fact that we got to see the Mini Mary again. Always love that she's still a part of the ship somehow. And Robin, Zoro, Usopp and Luffy are going onto Punk Hazard. They're going over the fire using the clouds that they picked up from Skypiea, or like some kind of cloud travel road thing that they can do. And I love that their experience at Skypiea is helping them now. Punk Hazard itself, it seems like some kind of military base. I don't know why, but it's giving me Resident Evil vibes. I'm not 100% sure why. Especially since it does kind of look like a factory. It has the entrance there with a sign, danger, keep out, the insignia of both the world government and the navy. So it does look like some kind of factory. Like, is Punk Hazard a factory? Yeah, some kind of government facility. There's a lot of buildings that have melted, and I think maybe from the dragon, potentially. It doesn't seem as though this island was originally on fire. Was there some disaster? And even actually Smoker mentioned something about there being a disaster on Punk Hazard. In the fact that there were supposed to be 3 islands that they could have chosen from the new log pose, but Punk Hazard isn't on there. They decided to go to the 4th island. Of course, Luffy's going to pick the one that's not on their charted path. Risky Red Island, Rayhan Island, and Mystoria Island, I think they're called. So those were the other 3 islands we could have chosen from. I don't know which one. Mystoria Island sounds good. I kind of like the sound of Mystoria Island. I think I would have liked to have gone there. But yeah, so some kind of accident happened at Punk Hazard that even Smoker knows about. And it's evident that Punk Hazard didn't always used to know. Which, of course, like, why would it be on fire, you know? So maybe this dragon has something to do with it? I don't know. Also, can we appreciate how cute Child Perona is? Look, I loved it when Luffy randomly asked Brook to join his crew when he first met him. I'm not too sure about a pair of legs joining the Straw Hats. I mean, for one, if he's given a straw hat, how's he going to wear it? What? It's a pair of legs. It's a pair of legs. It was inside the dragon and it can talk, because we thought that it was the dragon that could talk, but no, it mustn't have been. It must have been this thing, a pair of legs. And I think it's after some warlords. The buffoon of a warlord will never escape my wrath. And when it was inside the dragon, it was like, are you one of the warlords? Oh, maybe this arc will delve more into warlords, maybe, their role in this new world. And I'm actually very surprised that we killed the dragon. It was kind of a bit of a tough fight to begin with, because the height of the dragon is so strong. Luffy's powers couldn't really, do much damage to it. And Zoro using the sword, it was very hard for him to do. But they worked together. Luffy knocked it out from the sky, made the dragon bite its own wing, and then Zoro chopped the head off. Which is so gruesome. I kind of wanted the dragon to live, especially when I thought it could talk. Because I thought, maybe he needs help. Maybe the dragon was the one who used a transponder snail. But then, they did say it was cold. And this dragon obviously wasn't cold. So no, it couldn't have been the dragon that was on the phone. But it was a pretty good fight. Rather gruesome at the end there with the Death Lion song move from Zoro. And then we have these random people with these hazmat outfits on, kidnapping the Straw Hats. I'm like, oh god, we're being split up again? Like, I knew they were split up, like, from the previous chapter, because only a few of them went on the mini-merry to check out Punk Hazard. But now they're being kidnapped, they're being split up again. They're constantly being split up. I feel like Oda has so many Straw Hats now, that maybe it is hard to have them all at one place at one time. And it kind of does sacrifice maybe some page time for one Straw Hat over another. But does that mean we have too many main characters now? If we're constantly being split up from them? I don't know. I don't always love that they keep getting split up in these ways. It just, I don't know. Please tell me a future arc keeps them together for a little bit longer. Like, we literally got split up straight away in Fishman Island as well. Like, pretty much as soon as they entered Fishman Island, they were split up. I'm just, okay. Whatever, I'm not complaining. But yeah, the hazmat people, 2 humans, 1 humanoid metal man, and 1 pet. And they've knocked them all out. Oh wait, what about Brook? 2 humans, 1 humanoid metal man, and 1 pet. They didn't mention a skeleton. To be fair, they might think he's already dead. Oh, well, that's good. Because when, or if, Luffy and everyone come back to the Thousand Sunny, then Brook can wake up and tell them what's happened. Although, will he know what's happened because he got knocked out? I don't know. Will he actually be any help? I don't know. This is feeling very Warehouse Adventure. Almost like Monsters, Inc. Does anybody else get that? Has anyone played Kingdom Hearts 3? In the Monstropolis world, where you're in that factory for most of it, the Monsters Inc. factory. And that looks like the things, like when a human thing touches a monster and these guys come in. I can't remember what they're called. That's kind of what it looks like. I'm getting such Monsters Inc. vibes from this now. But there's already quite a lot of mysteries going on now with Punk Hazard that I'm just like, why is this place burning? Why is there someone cold? The dragon? The torso-less person. I finished volume 66 and now I'm on volume 67, which feels quite thick again. These volumes are so big. Okay, this is so weird. What is going on right now? So this island, this Punk Hazard, there is snow on the other side. It looks like there's a side of ice and a side of fire. And that's where the people on the transponder snail asking for help seem to be. They seem to be on the, well, the part of the island, part of Punk Hazard, that's like snow. So I'm really glad that we have this because I love snowy islands and snowy settings, which is why I love Drum Island so much. So to see that kind of return a little bit, it honestly fills me with so much joy. Also, Usopp saw this like woman here, and I think she's got wings. Yeah, she's got wings. Flap, flap. That bird, I mean bird person. Ooh, okay. Is that... I wonder if there was some kind of evil experiment that mutated some people on this island. Maybe. Especially since it does seem like Punk Hazard is like some kind of research facility. Maybe a government experiment gone wrong and it's transformed the residents, like mutated them. This is so odd. This is so weird. We have this samurai person. His head is severed. Like we had the legs. We had legs. Now we've got a face that needs to be reconstructed like this. And it's funny because his neck is on the top and the top of his head's on the bottom. Anyway, the people who have been kidnapped, they've reconfigured his face. Like, why is he there? And what are those huge babies or huge children at the end there? Like, this must have been some kind of experiment gone wrong, surely. And it's just changed people in different ways. Whoever steps foot on Punk Hazard. Because it seems like the samurai has come to the island to save his son's life. So, like, how has he been able to be chopped up into pieces and still live? So I'm thinking being on Punk Hazard means that you're kind of mutated yourself or your body just changes as you're there. So what's that going to do to the Straw Hats? Is that going to affect them somehow? Oh, it's just so odd. Sanji really does stand out here as well because he manages to figure out that the samurai is from Wano. And again, we're talking about Wano. So is this going to be like, oh, we want to get to Wano next, but we have so many islands before that, before we get to Wano. And I also want to get to Whole Cake Island too, because we've declared war on Big Mom, essentially. So this samurai is from Wano, searching for his son, trying to save his son. What? So was this the samurai who was cutting the people up who were asking for help on the transponder snail, or is this a different samurai? This really is like a big mystery. This arc so far has felt like a Scooby-Doo type mystery to me. Whether or not that's actually accurate is up for debate. So this is where Aka Ainu and Ikiji fought. And didn't they fight for such a long time too? Like it was an intense epic battle. And I remember thinking about that. We learned about it, I think in the previous arc or Return to Sabaody. And it just intrigued the life out of me. I wanted to say this battle. It sounds epic. It sounds amazing. And I don't think we'll ever be able to say it. But Punk Hazard is where they did it. But there was a failed experiment 4 years before by Vegapunk. Apparently, Vegapunk's chemical weapons experiment failed 4 years ago, rendered the whole island uninhabitable. But then the area was no longer toxic after 2 years. So it was a fight between Ikiji and Aka Ainu that changed this whole place to what it is now, with all the fire and the ice. God, that must have been some battle. That must have been some battle. Damn it, I really want to say it. Does the anime maybe adapt it somehow? They put in a lot of stuff that we don't say, right? But that's incredible. But it does prove that there was some kind of chemicals experiment that went wrong 4 years before. And we see more creatures as well. It seems like, well, they keep calling them centaurs and things. And they seem to like people formed with different animals. We have a leopard and a giraffe. And they have like the torso and the head and everything of a human. And the rest of the body is an animal. So that makes me think of, yeah, this could be the result of a chemical experiment that Vegapunk had gone wrong. Also, are we going to get more about Vegapunk in this arc? Because we keep getting bits and pieces. Frankie spent 2 years, I think it was in Vegapunk's laboratory, and it would just be so fantastic to learn more about Vegapunk. And who is the master as well? Honestly, all I'm doing is asking questions. I'm very intrigued. In the place where Nami, Sanji, Frankie, and Chopper have ended up. Is this like the master or something? Is master here? Yes, I am. And it looks like it's just some kind of liquid. I think that's just liquid. Did this person have like a devil fruit and it turned them into liquid? Or is this part of the experiments that happened and the result of the failure of it that made this place toxic? The master person and their workers in the hazmat outfits are keeping all of these children, these big children, in a room and they've kept them there and they've told them that they're sick or something, and they're begging for Nami and them to help. Save us, please. It broke my heart. I just want to go home. No one's coming to save us. I want to save my mummy and daddy. That's so sad. And obviously Nami feels so torn up about that she wants to help them. And Sanji's going to help too. He wants absolutely nothing to do with them. He only wants to help them because Nami's asked. So I love Nami doing that. And I also love when Nami... I don't know the samurai guy's name. I'm sure we said it, but I can't remember it. But the samurai head, he is very... like sexist, but I love the fact that Nami challenges him, and Nami always challenges the people who try to be sexist towards her, which is why Nami is like one of my favorite characters. I love her so much. And I was right, the people who kidnapped the Straw Hats on the Thousand Sunny thought Brook was dead, so they left him. So Brook has managed to get in contact with Luffy and them, told them that the ship and him are on the frozen side of the island, and that's where we're heading to now. So I'm so excited because I love the idea of the environment here and the climate. The fact that it ties into Aka Ainu and Akiji's fight. And the idea that maybe we will get more of Vegapunk in this. Maybe? Hopefully. Yes, Moga can't be one rule for you and another for everyone else. Whoa, so Trafalgar Law is the warlord of the sea now. Okay. I was hoping to see Trafalgar Law again, actually. He is just so cool and so awesome. And I know so many people love him too, and I'm like, why? Why do you love him yet? I mean, I did like him when we first saw him, and the second time we saw him at Marineford, but I need to know more of him before I can really make a good judgment on him. But so far, he's just like so cool. He's very quick with a comeback, and I like that. The island is off limits law, that includes government men. Then it applies to you too. Yeah. What are you going to do about it, Smoker? But it also says that Law sent 100 pirate hearts back to headquarters in order to become a warlord. Well, it was a surgeon of death. Will government recognize pirate warlord of the sea? But I'm sure his previous title was that he was like the surgeon of death. But he did help Luffy, didn't he? After Marineford, so... he's not all bad. But I love that Trafalgar Law's here. I get to learn more about him, hopefully. He wasn't on the cover, so that took me by surprise. I am liking Punk Hazard the more that I'm spending time there, because the clash between ice and fire is a huge... I mean, you know, you have A Song of Ice and Fire by George R.R. Martin, and even just like the symbolism of ice and fire and like how opposing they are, and the fact that Punk Hazard itself is... well, it's a clash of the two together in the visuals of, you know, fire in the water, but also the ice there, and it's just so jarring, which makes this place stand out even more because of that. It's almost like, how do you navigate it? You really can't. You're going to be too hot one place and too cold the next. How are we supposed to survive that? And also I mentioned something, well, I still don't love it when we split up the gang pretty much straight away, which is what we've done here again. But, you know, I understand why. I do understand it's important, because Oda is trying to tell these many stories of this island at once. You know, we have Team Nami and Team Sanji with these big baby people and the hazmat people, and we're getting that kind of story sprinkled in. We have Team Luffy, and they're trying to get to the ice part of the island, and so we're seeing all of these centaurian kind of creatures and seeing more of what has become of this island and the effects of the toxic accident that happened 4 years before. I think it still hasn't been explained explicitly that's what happened, but you know, we have winged people, we have centaurian people. It's just, it seems too odd not to have been part of that experiment gone wrong. And we have another boss person on the other side of the island awaiting Team Luffy, who are on a boat that, you know, Usopp had made himself. It's like this big banana boat thing, which sounds odd, but you know, it works with his powers and works with what he learned during the 2-year time skip. And yeah, we have the guy on the fire side, who I think was like the leopard centaur person. Boss, the intruders are coming to your side to take them all out. So this is the boss, apparently. He's quite big. So we have this master, which is some kind of like liquid thing. And then we have the boss, which is some kind of like giant thing. Just like so many clashing things happening at once. It's very jarring, but I kind of like it. Oh, you know what? Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of Hannibal in Impel Down, I'm so proud of him. Have you seen him? He's now the new warden of Impel Down, and look how proud he looks. Oh, you know what? I feel proud for him too. You know, there was a part of me that did like him. He was an antagonist because he was against us getting to Ace and stuff like that. I mean, it's a very complex conversation to have. Like, who were the real bad guys of Impel Down? You know, we have the actual people who are trying to keep prisoners and very dangerous people locked up. And then, of course, we have our Straw Hat Luffy trying to save his brother. One of the reasons why I love Impel Down so much is because of the complexity of sides and the greyness between it. But I am glad that Hannibal is, like, so happy in his job. Anyway, Trafalgar Law. What is it that he can actually do? I don't think his devil fruit power's ever been really explained, but he seems to have been able to have, I don't know, like, move the riverbed, and now the ship, the marine ship, is above them. So, like, what can he move things with his mind? Almost like telekinesis, kind of? Like, what? Although Smoker does say, don't try anything with him or he'll dismantle you limb from limb. So, like, can he do that? Can he, like... See, I'm sure we got a look into his powers in Sabri Archipelago, but I can't quite recall if they were ever really truly explained. So I guess he can... Ew. So maybe he does have some kind of like telekinesis, moving things without having to move kind of power. I might be totally wrong. It's probably going to get explained. But that's kind of my first impressions of his power. And he looks ruthless. But he seemed to be living where Nami and those kids and everyone were kind of locked up. Does he... Surely he knew about all of what's happening. Is he in league with the master? He does say that he is the only one on this island or whatever. And he is living there because it's his vacation home. And nobody else should be on the island or something. I'm the only one here. If Straw Hat makes his way here, I'll hunt him down for you. Is that what you wanted? Now leave. So is Trafalgar Law in on it? I don't know. But it does seem to be like the whole building is the same building because they're trying to escape. Like Chopper, Nami, the kids. And they come across this room with all of these huge corpses or something up and down the room. I mean, it's terrifying though because... and they're wearing prison clothes as well. I wonder if they're from Impel Down. Ooh. Did some of the people who escaped Impel Down end up on Punk Hazard and probably died here during the 2-year time skip? But their faces are frozen in like the most scariest of positions. It looks like some of them are laughing. It looks like some of them are scared. It looks like some of them are sad. And they must have froze to death maybe. It is hilarious though that as Trafalgar Law is trying to convince Smoker that he's by himself, that's when Nami and Chopper and the big children have, you know, escaped. And they escape through that front door where Trafalgar Law is. And then having the kids and Frankie and everyone like do a dance, do the whole Frankie dance thing, which he does the thing with his arms. I don't know how to do it, but I need to learn how to do the Frankie dance. And they're singing and everyone's just watching them, like Smoker, Tashigi, all of their crew, Trafalgar Law, they're just like standing there watching. It's so comical. It's such a serious moment. But it's so comical. And maybe now there'll be a fight between Smoker and Trafalgar Law. Because I think actually what I haven't had in a good hot while. Because there wasn't really any big battle sequences in Fishman Island that really stood out. Because of like how weak a lot of the villains were in that arc. Which honestly, in my opinion, was not a detriment to the arc. But I am looking forward to a really meaty battle. So it seems like maybe Trafalgar Law and Smoker can do that for me. What? Law's power? What? So is he the one who... Well, he must have been the one who split the samurai person up. You know, the token samurai head person. Like, so like, he can chop people... Like, what? So he can modify things, right? And anyone in Law's sphere is a Hemis patient on his operating table. Honestly, that's terrifying. But, like, such a fantastic ability... And, you know, just a way of demonstrating and showcasing his ability. What I'm loving about these devil fruit powers are that they're just so unique and so different to one another. So yeah, so many people have been cut up in two, and they're still alive. And what he is switched, I think he switched Nami, Sanji, Frankie, and Chopper around. Like their hearts were almost like pulled out of their chests in a way. And then Nami shouting, "Hurry up, you miserable brats, keep running. Hey, where's my cig?" So obviously, like, she must be Sanji now? Like, what? So, like, he can change the people around? Sanji, follow me, kids. I think he's Chopper. And then Frankie, or honestly, would you actually age Sanji, which must be Nami. And then Chopper must be Frankie. I'm feeling super this week. We'll find that exit in no time. What? So, like, they've been switched around, like a switcheroo kind of thing. I love body swap stories. I really do. I find them so hilarious. And again, Scooby-Doo. the Scooby-Doo movie, this arc is just reminding me so much of like Scooby-Doo, the Mystery Inc. gang and splitting up. And yeah, you know, in the Scooby-Doo film where they have the, what is it, the Daemonitis or something, and they switch bodies for like a little bit. And the fact that Sanji is Nami now, oh no. Oh no. I kind of have a feeling where this is going. Again, I don't mind Sanji being a simp. I just can't stand when he's a perv. And if my mind is going where I think it's going, okay, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. It was so exciting, Team Luffy trying to cross the river, the lake, which was apparently ground zero for the Aka Ainu and the Ikiji fight. And having them across the lake and then falling into the water, and there's the sea creatures underneath the water, and one of them has got Zoro. Honestly, it was terrifying. One of my biggest fears is Jaws. I'm scared of Jaws and the whole shark in the water and the doo-doo. And that's what that reminded me of too. The ocean scares me in general. You don't know what's under the surface. And as we've seen in One Piece, they've been under the sea, they've been under it, and we know exactly what's under the surface. A lot of dangerous shit. And having them try to cross with Robin and Luffy not being able to swim, the devil fruit powers, you know, really affecting them in the water, and Usopp and Zoro trying desperately to get them to the other side with all this fire going on them. Oh my gosh, so exciting. Zoro getting pulled down too. It was chilling. It reminded me of Jaws. And then Brook comes and saves them. I love the fact that Brook is back and he's not on his own again. One thing I freaking love about Brook is his determination. Him saying, if anyone is going to pay, it will be you. I've lost enough crewmates for one lifetime. And how determined and strong he is against all of these people. Because we do have a closer look at these Centaurian kind of people. And we have Boss there, who is the Crocodile Centaur. And he's up against the boss and his people. And he is using his own experience and his own trauma of losing his entire crew. And he's like, I am the Soul King. I have pledged my second life to Straw Hat Luffy, and I'm gonna save him. I'm gonna save him and my friends, my crew. I've lost enough crew in a lifetime. I'm not gonna lose any more, not a single one. So that moment chilled me to the bone. Yo, he is all in, and I love it because he is the latest Straw Hat to join. He is, isn't he? Yeah, he is. He is the latest Straw Hat to join, and he's all in. We have him. We have him, guys. And the look on their faces as they say, oh, warm clothes, we're going to get them. And Usopp's like, go get one for me too. It's just so funny. The ice and the fire from the island here is a perfect contrast to how scary this arc can be sometimes. This is how humorous and light it is at other times. I find myself laughing one minute, and then I'm pretty scared the next. I'm starting to wonder if Trafalgar Law even likes Luffy. Or if he even considers him a friend. It just seems like Trafalgar Law is so solitary. So I guess he doesn't really have alliances in that way. I don't know. But he just seems to be more like, ugh, Straw Hat. Whereas Luffy's like, oh, you're... And then ... So Luffy seems a lot more happy to say Law than Law is of seeing Luffy. So it'll be interesting to find out what dynamic they have. If Law can be considered an ally or not. But his fight with Smoker was really good. I really enjoyed it. And the fact that he cut up Tashigi... And like she's still alive. She's like, just kill me, Law. Like this is shameful. This is embarrassing. And Law says something like, the weak don't get to choose how they die or something. Which so sad. Like poor Tashigi. Yeah, the weak do not have the right to choose how they die. And he's kind of a scary guy. You've got to admit this. As cool as he is, he looks scary. His eyes look a little bit soulless, a little bit hurt. I don't know. Like there seems to be some kind of pain behind them. Almost, I might be reading into that, but there does seem to be something behind those scary looking eyes that just seems to be a little bit more deeper than initially portrayed. I keep forgetting about Sea Prism Stone, and it is Captain Smoker's weapon of choice. Did Law get Smoker's heart out of his body? Because that is absolutely vile. And I don't know if that is the move that means his opponent will die from it, because how can you live without your heart? Unless he's keeping... Because he can manipulate things, right? So unless he keeps the body alive for whatever reason, if he has the power to do that, I don't know. Like, there's so many grey areas with his power right now. But it just means that it's open to so many possibilities. It is just so epic. We do get to see the harpy, the bird woman harpy Monet, I think her name is. And she's working with the master. the liquid thing. And harpies are from mythology, right? It's kind of cool how we do have different mythological stuff at play in this arc. You know, centaurs, harpies, and harpies, they drag people off, right? They make people disappear, I think. And I think they're like greedy. And there is also the derogatory word to call, I guess it's like a nagging woman, a harpy, like, oh, you keep harping on or something. I think it was like Shakespeare was like harpies. I don't know. I'm trying to say more and trying to do more of an analysis with One Piece when I'm reading through it. But she seems cool. She doesn't seem to be too evil. I mean, she's working with a guy who looks evil, or a liquid thing that looks evil, but she herself, she seems to be quite cool. We see the Straw Hats made the paper, Straw Hat crew back in business. And Sanji still can't get a break. There's his wanted poster. They have updated images. And instead of it being the drawn Duval, it is Sanji, but it's the back of his head. Chopper. Wait, does he have a 0 bounty? Does it actually have 0 for Chopper? He looks so cute. I didn't realize it was 0. Wait, what was it before? It was low before, I'm sure. When we saw it in... Was it in Sabody Archipelago? We saw Chopper's wanted poster or something? Or his bounty, and it was really low. But 0 berries? Really? Oh my god, this is so ridiculous. The samurai, I mean, I'm glad he's been sort of put together, his head with his legs. He looks so stupid. Just with a serious look on his face, and then he's just a pair of legs. But I did wonder, how in the world did his legs talk? Oh, that was me farting. A neat skill of mine not to toot my own horn. Come on. This is a serious samurai. From Wano. And I mean, that's probably the first time he's smiled this entire time, is him tooting his own horn about being able to talk fart. What? This is honestly so ridiculous. The whole body switching thing as well, very ridiculous. Hopefully we learn some lessons from this, and that's why we're doing this order. Yeah, Sanji is being a perv and an absolute creep in Nami's body. Of course he is. I was expecting that. And Nami, as Frankie, is trying to keep him from doing stuff to her own body. So she's knocked... Well, it's kind of a double-edged sword because she's essentially knocking her body out, or she's like hurting her body. Wow, I've damaged my beautiful, fragile body. I hope we learned something from this. I hope there is a message behind this body swapping. Hopefully Sanji can start treating Nami with a bit more respect, rather than as an object, because he is supposed to be this gentleman. He won't hit a woman, but he's not acting like a gentleman. Come on. I hope that's the limit of where we go with Sanji being in Nami's body. I really do. I hope nothing else pervy happens. Hopefully that's the end of that, but I'm not holding my breath. And hopefully Trafalgar Law can switch them back now. Like, what was his point in doing that? Yeah, not a whole lot else to say about the chapter. Oh, but Luffy has reunited with everyone. Luffy, Zoro, everyone... They're all together again now, which is good. They weren't separated for too long. I feel like we got back together a lot quicker than we did in Fisherman Island. So I like that a lot, because now I think we know the name of the antagonist of this arc, who is Caesar Clown. And he's the liquid thing that's talking to Trafalgar Law at the end. He is the mad former colleague of Dr. Vegapunk, wanted by the government, the Authority on Weapons of Mass Murder, the scientist Caesar Clown. So he's a really terrifying person. So he must have locked all of these children up, doing some kinds of experiments. He has a very sinister motive. And you know what? The more I think of it, I don't think Trafalgar Law has been working with him on this. Maybe they did have some kind of agreement that they were in the same place, that they wouldn't attack one another maybe. But maybe Trafalgar Law didn't know about the children. And he is a pirate, so even if he did know, then he's a pirate. You know, a lot of pirates aren't the best of people. He isn't trying to be an upstanding citizen. He doesn't have to be. But I did like Law's and Luffy's interaction again. Especially since Law does say, hey, remember, we are pirates. And Luffy's like, yeah, we're enemies for that reason. We're both after the One Piece. But, you know, you saved my life. I owe you one, kind of thing. Thanks a ton. It's Luffy down to a T. You know, it doesn't matter what side you're on. If you show some kindness to Luffy, he's going to show you some kindness back. He's a very good guy for being a pirate. Wow, there is so much to take in with this chapter. Like, a lot. It was a lot of talking, which I don't mind. Honestly, I don't mind. It was very good. I learned so much, and I'm just trying to process it all. So first I did mention actually previously that Smoker and Tashigi have been swapped swap places. It is honestly so weird to see Smoker look like a little bit different. Him not having a cigar in his mouth, constantly smoking. It's weird. It is odd. And then to see Toshigi there with the cigar, you know, looking down and very angry almost. It's funny. It's just like they are so polar opposites. And that's kind of what I like about their dynamic. They work really well together. I've never mentioned really how much I do like Smoker and Toshigi as a team. I really like their dynamic. Apparently there are reports of child abduction that seem to have been covered up by J5, potentially. There seems to be some kind of weird conspiracy thing going on there, and a lot of the reports have been covered up and changed so that nobody will look into the child abductions. And again, it does show so much corruption from within the Marines, within the government, the Navy, all of it. It's not perfect, and I'm wondering like why they would cover it up. Like, were they too lazy to go to Punk Hazard to check it out? Like, did they just not want to go there? Like, what's the deal there? Apparently someone called Joker has given permission to kill the Straw Hats to Caesar Clown. I keep wanting to call him Caesar Salad. Am I supposed to know who Joker is already? Why do I feel like I should have already known? Oh, one thing I should have already known, and I should have pointed out as well, is Brownbeard. I remember we saw him in post-war, and I was like, oh my gosh, we got a Blackbeard, a Whitebeard, a Brownbeard. Like, we have all of these beard people. And yeah, Brownbeard is the one who's on this island, and he was the boss. He was the boss that kind of helped the Straw Hats to escape a little bit, but against his will. They've tied him up, and he explains that Luffy is part of the worst generation. And I'm pretty sure I've heard that term before. I mean, it is one of the card decks, but also I'm sure it was mentioned earlier in the arc. Or was it mentioned in Return to Saturday or Fishman Island? I'm sure I've heard it before in One Piece itself. I just didn't know what it was. Says the entire group of you that were at Saturday Archipelago 2 years ago are now known to the world at large as the worst generation. Problem children born in the gap between the end of one age and the beginning of another, fated to bring chaos wherever they go. And I mean, they're not wrong. Like, whenever the Straw Hats end up in an island, there is usually chaos, but then everything returns to normal by the end of it. So it's usually quite fine. And then Brownbeard does explain about Vegapunk, and this being the place where he tested all manners of weapons and chemicals. Oh, and you know those corpses of the people who have escaped jail, who we saw before that were frozen? I thought they were the prisoners that escaped Impel Down after Luffy's escape. But no, it turns out that a number of prisoners were taken there to Punk Hazard instead of Impel Down to become human experiments themselves, to become guinea pigs. And it must be the government doing that. It must have been the Navy who was sending the prisoners there, because it had to have been someone in power to be able to give them to Vegapunk as guinea pigs. And then the accident happened 4 years ago. 2 of the 3 labs were destroyed. What we stand in now is one of those labs. Heat and toxicity wiped out land on the island. I know you guys already know this. I'm just talking through it so I remember and get this whole context of Punk Hazard in my head. Government workers abandoned the prisoners there, escaped with their own lives. There were surviving prisoners. Survived lost much of their lower body functions to the effect of the gas. Caesar Clown, their master or whatever, with his special abilities, purified the gas and provided the prisoners with new legs. And then Trafalgar Law comes along and uses his powers to make these Centaurian kind of creatures. I love that Luffy calls him Traffy. I don't think I'll ever use that name. It sounds odd. Traffy. I'll just call him Law. The master continues his research. Yeah, and he's given some of his people, like the master's given someone, one of his subjects, this thing to take, like some kind of medicine. But this medicine, it's hurting him and I think it's killing him. And the master seems happy about that. Oh, also, is Caesar Clown related to Carabao? Because his eyes remind me of Carabao. His mouth reminds me of Carabao. And even this panel here, like, I genuinely thought that this was Carabao. Before it was revealed that that's actually the master in his, like, human form. I thought that was Carabao. Like, look at his tongue. He's doing a bit of this. And that's what Carabao does. So is he related somehow? You know, Carabao, Caesar Clown, all of the C's. Apparently the mum and the dad wanted their names to match. Gas fruit in Carabao has, was it the swamp fruit or something like that? Like, he could become a swamp. He could become a gas. And those two things are gross and toxic. And that would make sense, right, if they were related. There's no way they're not related, surely. Ooh, the Yeti Cool Brothers. That's a pretty cool name. And they are working for Caesar Salad. And Zoro, Nami, and Brook. And I'm so glad Zoro went with them, because you cannot trust Nami's body with Sanji and Brook, the two biggest pervs of Nami on this ship. So I'm glad he went with them so that he can make sure that nothing happens. But it doesn't look like they got very far anyway. They've been knocked out. They're a little bit split up again, which is honestly fine at this point, because I feel like we're getting so much more interaction between them than we did in Fishman Island. And I love seeing them so prevalent after the whole 2-year time skip. They've been apart for so long, and to still see them still working so well together and their dynamic really shining through this arc is one of the reasons why I'm really enjoying this arc so far. And it feels very different. I can't put my finger on why. It just feels very different to a lot of the arcs I've read in the past. And I can't explain why just yet. Maybe when I get to the end of it, I'll be able to explain better. But not too much to say about this chapter, really, because I feel like we got quite a bit that we sort of already knew or could assume, especially when it came to the children, and they have been experimented on as we thought. But I didn't really know about the whole being addicted to this drug thing that Caesar has been given them in the form of candy. So they seem to be addicted to it, and they've gotten aggressive, or at least one of them, one of the big kids, has gotten aggressive and needs their next fix. So drug-addicted children is a very different take to a One Piece arc than I could have ever imagined. As I said, like, this arc has been so odd and bizarre, which I feel could be the point, especially since we're dealing with some kind of research lab and bizarre experiments and, yeah, this potential Carabao brother. I love the fact that the next chapter is chapter 666, because that's a great number. Oh, and look at the cover story of chapter 666 as well. Impel down, level 5.5. All hail Bon, new queen of New Karma Land. He's okay. He is okay. In fact, he's thriving. Oh, I love this for him. Oh, I love Bon Clay so much. I'm so happy. I am so happy I did not see this cover photo when I first turned the page. I didn't try to pay attention to it. But that's so cool. Oh. Either the Yeti Cool brothers are lying about killing Nami, Brook, and Zoro, therefore they're on our side, or they've made a huge error in judgment, which I don't think they would do because they sound extremely formidable and extremely good at their jobs, especially if nobody knows what they look like and they have this huge reputation that precedes them. What is their game? I don't for 1 second believe that they're dead. Definitely not. So are they on our side? Like, are they secretly working for themselves and they don't care what happens? Like, are they secretly wanting Caesar Salad to be taken down? Like, what is going on with those two? I love how mysterious and in shadow they kind of are. When they steal Frankie, this is the only one to take alive. He has Vegapunk stasis or something. We kill the rest. I like it that way. And they're just like these two shadowy figures. And then they just shoot Brownbeard in the face. Is he actually dead? I don't know. But then again, is he going back to the whole, I can shoot you point blank in the face, but you'll still be fine. And Trafalgar Law did say to Caesar, because they are kind of working together, but I don't think Trafalgar Law is really in on the whole children's thing. Like, they want to leave each other alone on this island, and they've agreed to do that. And Trafalgar Law did say he would offer up his services, but I don't think he really knows or likes what's going on with the children, because he says, I don't like your style. And Trafalgar Law wants the secrecy. He doesn't want anyone to know where he is, especially Joker. This Joker person, who is it? Who is Joker? Hey, I do like the idea of Lord Luffy teaming up to take down one of the 4 emperors. Are they going to work together to take down Big Mom to help Fishman Island? That would be cool, but I don't think that's who Trafalgar Law was talking about. Frankie and Chopper's body. So Frankie took one of the Rumble Balls. He became monster form. And way before you should have. And goes on a bit of a rampage. So that made the fight like a little bit funny against the Yeti Cool brothers. Scotch and Rock. So they do have Nami in Frankie's body. And I think they think Frankie's gay. Because Nami saying, as Frankie, I mean, I know I'm cute and have a hot body and I can see why anyone would want to have me at their mercy, but... And then they're saying, what is this guy saying? He swings for the other team. That's cool. And I'm like, okay, no judgments. No judgments. I like that. I like that a lot. But anyway, seeing Luffy's new move, what is a Gum Gum Fire Salute, where he's kind of... He's bouncing back the ammunition or like the bullets from his enemies, But he's like, don't waste those bullets, use them against the enemy with twice the force. I love how animated it is. The kind of sniper target thing so that he can fire the bullets back. I love that move so much. Gum Gum Fire Salute. I love that. And one thing I do like about this whole body swap thing is seeing how the different Straw Hats would fight with a different fighting style. Like, are they able to adapt to it? Are they able to use it effectively? And they will probably appreciate each other a bit more with their fighting techniques to say like how hard it actually is to do and how they've mastered it themselves, especially since we have spent 2 years training up for them to be better at their abilities. So with Frankie being in Chopper's body, he's gonna really come to grips with how the whole points and Chopper's abilities come into play. Very cool to see a potential alliance between Law and Luffy. I need to make some food, I'm starving. So I have finished volume 67 and now we're going on to volume 68. Okay, firstly, why did the cover story have to be Whitebeard's and Ace's graves? I mean, it is nice to see that people are leaving flowers there still, so they're still in people's minds 2 years later, which is good. In fact, I was the one who left the flowers there. It should be more towards the Ace side, but you know, I liked Whitebeard as well. But honestly, it still hits me to see how huge Whitebeard's grave is compared to Ace's little one. Ace still had so much life left in him. He still had so much to give. Ugh. Anyway, you know how I mentioned the One Piece card game at the very start of this video? And how I'm not allowed to open any of the cards yet because I haven't caught up? Well, I remember when I first got the Romance Dawn deck, or the Romance Dawn cards, and I started opening them because I thought, oh, I've read Romance Dawn, I can look at these cards. But I opened the cards and the first card I saw was some kind of slime thing, and then that's when I realized, oh, I can't look at these, so I just put them away and I never thought of them again. I never looked any further. I couldn't remember what the slime thing looked like. I just remember thinking, this is slime. Well, it looks like I've met my very first ever One Piece card, which is apparently this random inhabitant of Punk Hazard slime. This is my first One Piece card. It better be good. This is Caesar Clown's hidden weapon thing, and it looks almost as if it was, you know, like lava coming down from a volcano in a way. The way it moves over the people who have let it escape, aka Caesar's own men. So what is it with these villains in the New World? All of them have been absolutely fine with sacrificing their own men. And this slime thing is killing indiscriminately. I don't know how to say that word. Indiscriminatorily? You know what I mean. But yeah, the thing that I was the most excited to read more about was the Trafalgar Law and Luffy alliance. And I want to know who the Emperor is who Law wants to kill. And it seems like he whispers it to Luffy, because we, as a reader, don't get to hear which Emperor he wants to kill. And as long as it's not Shanks, I feel like I'm on board with anything. So it mustn't be Shanks, otherwise Luffy wouldn't have agreed to it. And yeah, Luffy's agreed to it, even though the Straw Hats are like, no, Luffy, don't agree to something like that. But nevertheless, they've agreed to it, and the Straw Hats have reluctantly come on board with that. And yeah, they're going to have this alliance with Law, which also means, and it's fantastic as well, because now Law can help us on this island. He can help us with the children, he can help us with Caesar and whatever his plan is. I'm just so intrigued by Law because there's just so many panels of him just observing. He doesn't say something, he just thinks it. And you kind of have to interpret yourself what it is that's going through Trafalgar Law's head. He's almost speechless as he's watching Luffy react and interact with his crew. And I loved it because Chopper's out for the count because of Frankie. Oh, Frankie and Chopper are now switched back. And now Nami's in Sanji's body. So they tied Chopper onto Trafalgar Law's hat. In Trafalgar Law's face. He's so bewildered. I think this was like my favourite moment from this chapter. Maybe one of my favourite moments from the arc so far. Law, he doesn't know what he's got himself into in this alliance with the Straw Hats. Like, he's going to be in for a wake-up call. Because the way that the Straw Hats are, they're very goofy, but they are just the best ever. But obviously Trafalgar Law is a lot more broody, I would imagine, just like in what I've observed so far. Not exactly it's kind of hard to know what Trafalgar Law's personality is, because he's just so contemplative. Maybe? Is that the right word? He's very... I don't know, he's cool. He's very cool though. But him and the Straw Hats, just like this entire arc with the fire and the ice, it's gonna clash. I mean, the chapter was fine. The chapter was absolutely fine. Not really much to say about it. The samurai guy's been found by Sanjinami, Zoro and Brook, who are out looking for him, but they think his torso's in the water, which is a problem. The slime thing is on its way down. That is something that Oda has done in the past, where we have this impending dread in doom in the arc. So I like the fact that this slime is coming slowly and slowly more towards us. And it was actually the failed experiment, although failed, there is the whole point of whether something was actually failed or not. And it was actually Dr. Vegapunk's experiment from 4 years ago, the one that caused the catastrophic accident. And yeah, it's this slime thing. Caesar Clown says, "They think I purified all the gas that choked the island. Never. What a waste. No, I altered and compressed it down into the form of a monster." A monster. I mean, obviously we need to save the children, but can we not just let this Caesar person have this shithole? Like, is this what he's fighting for? Like, what is his general main goal? Is it just to take over this island? Because have this island. This is pretty much a derelict island at the end of the day. It's messed up. The other thing I loved about this was Luffy and the gang crashing in on, yet again, I love Tashigi and Smoker as well. Have I mentioned that? I love that they're in each other's bodies, because seeing Smoker, his body, acting so differently to how you would expect, and then Tashigi in her body acting so boisterous and so powerful, that itself is hilarious to see too. But I did love the end of the chapter. We've come to kick your butt and then kidnap you, and then Robin, that was a secret, Luffy. Of course they would just blurt out their intentions. Luffy appearing out of nowhere at the end, grabbing on to Caesar, and like, gotcha! An absolute win of a moment. Especially since Caesar was like in the middle of explaining things and saying how this slime thing is coming over and it's gonna unleash the terror of what transpired there 4 years before. And I just gotcha. Just a lot of these villains or antagonists do like to tell us what they're about to do, and they do have that window of opportunity during that exposition or during a villain's monologue to actually do something. So I love the fact that Luffy interrupted by grabbing him, and especially since he's going to try and kidnap him. So like, will he actually be able to kidnap the villain Caesar? Will he actually be able to do that? Like, it is a bit of an exciting-ish chapter. I don't know how much I care about the whole Navy aspect of it being there. I do like Smoker and Tashigi. Reason why I'm kind of liking them in this arc right now is because they've switched bodies, and it allows for some hilarity from it, especially since Luffy is laughing at them too, and he's like, "Oh, I can't fight you while you're like this." He's literally on the floor laughing so hard at the fact that they've switched bodies. I mean, the slime thing is intimidating, but I'm also like, I don't know if I'm caring too much about what's happening on this island right now. It feels a little bit like a sidestep. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm still enjoying it. I like Trafalgar Law being here. I feel like that's important. The whole Emperor thing, that's important. But right now it just feels like we're sidestepping a bit. I don't actually know what these stakes are for this arc. Oh, there's some kind of mystery person at the end of the chapter who's just appeared before Law. How many years has it been? My, how you've grown, Law. I'm just wondering who it is, because Law kind of collapsed in pain at the same time Luffy did. I feel like Luffy collapsed because of something Caesar did, but I just found it so interesting that Law also kind of felt pain at the same time. I find that suspicious. I find that weird. Impel Down, again, is proving to be such an important and fantastic arc. I love Impel Down so much, because Luffy has been able to take in so much of Caesar's poison because of Magellan from the Impel Down arc, or at least like the toxic gas and the things that Caesar is throwing at Luffy. Luffy has like swallowed some of it, and then everyone's like, "Oh my god, no, that's instant death." Then Luffy's like, poison doesn't seem to work on me much anymore. But I will say that Caesar does have quite a good fighting style, and he looks pretty stylish as well. Like the gas coat thing that he wears, it is a look. It is actually kind of a look. Gas robe even. Yeah, it's like such a look. It's so big. If he is Carabao's brother, I definitely prefer him. Even though he's in our way and he's being naughty, I still prefer him so much more to Carabao. At least like he can do something useful in a way. Like he's acting the way he should. But I'm super intrigued by whoever's just shown up at the end of this chapter. I mean, Zoro fought a samurai back in Thriller Bark, right? And that was a samurai from Wano. So I'm not sure if there's going to be some kind of connection there between them. Also, this samurai is called Kinemon? Foxfire Kinemon? Maybe? But he can like cut through anything, so that's really cool. And that also means that Zoro wants to learn something from him. And if he can impart some knowledge and make Zoro even better too, then that's perfect. I realize I'm probably going to have to move because the lighting in here is just awful. Sanji actually did something quite brave in this one. He actually went down to the bottom, fought a shark, got the samurai's torso back, and pretty much saved the day. And he was apologetic to Nami all the time. You know, like, I'm sorry about this, Nami. Like, he's... Like, even though he's not saying that to Nami directly, he is being apologetic. And so, you know, he's just making the most of what he has right now. You know, this is the situation he's in. And as long as he's not taking the bra off, and as long as he's not looking at anything without permission, Caesar has turned out to be a lot stronger than I gave him credit for. Because now Luffy, Robin, and Frankie are all KO'd. And they're getting kidnapped themselves, even though that was their plan all along. And also, the guy at the end of the chapter before is called Virgo. And he's working with Monet. He's planted Monet there, who is the harpy person. And he is so against Trafalgar Law. He's actually like hating him. But I don't understand why. Learn your place, it's Mr. Virgo to you. And now it's putting their entire plan in jeopardy, which, to be honest, the plan has already fallen apart. Because Luffy hasn't been able to kidnap Caesar. Oh, I should have known. I should have known Doflamingo is Joker. I should have known. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the smile, I guess. Like Doflamingo, he seems to usually be smiling. And when I think of Joker, I think of Batman. So I probably should have known that. But oh, it's Doflamingo who's the Joker person. Okay. And this Virgo guy as well, he is supposed to be an admiral. Vice Admiral and Base Commander, but he's a pirate through and through apparently. He is a bad guy. He's covering up all the children being kidnapped and saying their sailing accidents and things like that. And it was quite nice to see at the start of the chapter that the children's parents are still looking for them in some unnamed island in the New World. And just like the Commodore there, Marine J5 Unit 6 Commodore Yarasugi, I think. He's just so mean. He's awful. I don't know why so many Navy people are so corrupt and awful and just nasty. They're just horrible, horrible people. Is the point of this arc to show more corruption within the Navy, maybe? Because at the minute, like, I'm still not blown away by this arc. I don't know. I mean, it's fun. Oh, and also, actually, I think maybe the card that I have is Smiley. I think it's Smiley because it's the master's pet. Gel foam poison gas that ate the Salasala fruit. And it's that big slime thing that just changed shape. It's the master's pet. It's Smiley. I think this is the card that I have. Not slime. I think it's Smiley. I think. I'm going to go and look. I will look at the card, but that's it. I won't look at any other ones, I promise. I'm only looking at this one because I'm pretty sure this is the character that I saw. And then I was like, nope, not looking at it anymore. So I just want to check. And I know you guys are interested too. I do love the fact that Luffy, Tashigi, Smoker, Robin, Frankie, Law are all tied up and put in a cell together. And it does remind me of Alabasta, which is exactly what Luffy says. But also I love the fact that Robin's smiling as well. Like Robin and Luffy are smiling. Everyone else seems to be a little bit, you know, sad or angry or scared. And I do love the subtlety between Robin and Luffy. Like I can tell that they're really good friends now. And like Robin just absolutely loves seeing Luffy living life, I guess, or just like being happy and being carefree. And she's happy too. Luffy being happy kind of makes Robin happy, I think. Oh yeah, the children as well. They've gone crazy. They've got their withdrawals, but the master, Caesar, has come back with the candy still. So yeah, I think maybe it's because I don't really care a whole great deal about these children being addicted to drugs. Which I know it's more than that, but I think the general premise of this arc so far, it hasn't blown me away just yet. Okay, I might as well have a look to see if I can find the card pack that I'd opened. This is all the card game that I have so far. I have the Romance Stone booster box, and I did get a couple of packs. Got the Paramount War booster box as well. All the star decks so far, and this little box thing as well to put the cards in. And I also have a folder as well to put the cards in that I got during the Water 7 arc video, so it's in there. Yeah, I just want to check to see if it is Smiley. I'm not going to look at any of the other cards, I promise. Yes! I was right! I was right! See? I knew it was some kind of slime thing. Okay, so yeah, I was right. It was Smiley, although I did think it was slime first. We're gonna go wait to open these. I'm so excited. But yeah, those are my cards. And yeah, my first ever card is Smiley. Ugh. I wish it had been like Ace or something. Okay, so they're making weapons of mass destruction, I think. I think that's pretty much what the bad guys are doing in this arc. And Caesar is calling all illicit brokers around the world. The poison gas weapon you're about to see has additional effects beyond what was employed 4 years ago. That made it far more effective than anything those government bunglers can create. We've had a series of unidentified visitors today, which means I've decided to run a live test. Nation hijacking war domination. Around the new world, my weapon has many potential uses. If you find it to your liking, then let's make a deal. So yeah, he's creating this weapon that I think he's probably just going to try and sell on. Is that kid guy? That Eustace kid? I only realised, as I was looking at it right there, that that's Eustace kid. The more I look at it, when I first read it, I was really just paying attention to the words. I didn't pay that much attention to that panel. I just thought that was Virgo for a second, and I think that's Eustace kid. Captain, you're into weapons of mass murder now. Nah, but there ain't no harm in knowing, is there? But we shouldn't be playing with weapons of mass destruction. Okay, that does make the bad guy in this a lot more menacing and most likely has more ramifications in the world rather than just whatever he was doing on this island, because I just thought he wanted the island for himself or something like that, which didn't make sense to me because, as I said, it's not the best of islands. There are definitely better islands to take. Crocodile had a good idea, you know? And it's even scary as well seeing Caesar being able to manipulate the air around him or control it even so that he can like suffocate someone. And that's what he does to the Nami and Sanji's body and Usopp. And the kids, they are so addicted to this drug. And they are willing to step over Nami and Usopp in order to get their fix. And even though they've really hurt and whacked Nami in the face, Nami's still like, these children are victims. They haven't done anything to deserve this. And she's remembering their pleading cries for help to her. She isn't forgetting that. She is like such a good mother figure. She really is. Despite them almost becoming monstrous as they are craving this drug, she still is trying to do what's best for them. And she's trying to remind them, you have a home, you want to go home, you do not want this. And she's still standing up for them despite all the odds being against her. I love this depiction of Nami. It's just odd seeing it coming out of Sanji's mouth, you know? Yeah, I don't think Caesar has the best control over his apparent weapon of mass destruction. I mean, it's candy very quickly, so that isn't really an indication to say that this weapon isn't actually going to do what it's supposed to do. But the chapter did end with Monet saying he's not listening to you. So I'm wondering if this experiment is just going to go completely wrong, and it's going to cause so much danger for everyone on the island, including Caesar. But also, I have no clue. But it was interesting that Low's heart was taken from him, although Low gave it up. I'm like, why would you give it up? You know, like, it was kind of the deal with Caesar. Caesar needed his heart so that he didn't feel as much of a threat, and he would let him be fine on the island. I don't quite understand why he would just give up his heart like that for... I mean, it does get Monet's in exchange, but still, it's like, why would you do that? You're so much more powerful than him. Like, do you really need him? I don't know. I think maybe I've missed something. It's fine. It's still good. It's still fun to watch. Yeah. Yeah. I think Monet is actually not on the bad side. I think she's actually going to help Trafalgar Law and the others. I think she's the one who threw the paper at Chopper saying don't do anything. Because Chopper is free. He can help, but he doesn't know what to do. So I think Monet threw that paper at him to stop him from doing something rash. Charlie Monet is on our side. Okay, the smiley thingamabobby, it got reborn as the weapon of mass murder, Land of the Dead. Land of the Dead. And it's really scary what it can do. Like, it does this to people who are trying to run away. And it really is harrowing to see that Caesar is just not caring whatsoever about any of the people outside of the lab. Because literally all of his men, all of the people who are supposed to be on his side, who call him master, are in the crossfire here. They're the ones who are going to die. Just so that you can show the brokers around the world what this weapon of mass murder can do. There's somebody with a top hat there. Around the New World, there's someone with a top hat. In seeing Nami, Zoro, the samurai, and Brook running for their lives, even on the television as well, and coming across a dragon, hopefully they can use it. Again, I love the fact that we have dragons in this arc. That's so cool. But with Luffy, Law, and the others on the outside, Law has ended this by saying it's time for the counterattack. So maybe Law accounted for this all along. A little bit like how they were really smart about the plan in Fisherman Island with Jinbei and how to take down Holly Jones. Maybe this is all part of the plan getting caught. Maybe Law and Monet have been working together and it looks like Monet is betraying them when actually she's going to be helping them from the inside. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm really glad to see in the cover stories that Carabao is getting carted off by Jinbei. And he got smashed in the previous cover story as well. Because I was wondering what would happen to him after Fishman Island. And it looks like he is getting his comeuppance. And it makes me so happy, actually. It makes me very, very happy. This was a great chapter, actually. I was really intensely excited by it. And we're getting more pirate alliances. We have Eustace Captain Kidd, who we saw before, with Killer and Scratchman Apu and Basil Hawkins. I believe we met all of these people back in Sabri Archipelago. I think they were the 11 supernovas or something like that, and they're part of the worst generation. I'm still getting my bearings on all the terminologies in One Piece. But it was a great plan by Trafalgar Law to get them free from their chains, and the fact that this is something that Trafalgar Law has been working towards for however long he's been there, and made sure that if something like this happened, there was a way out for him. So it was great that he had just normal chains on. That was really smart thinking. And also Tashigi, even though she is part of the Navy, and a lot of the Navy and the admirals that we've seen in this arc specifically are very corrupt, but we have someone like Tashigi who is so adamant, like she's even willing to risk up her pride in order to, you know, do what's right, save the children, and make sure that Virgo is not, you know, just running around loose, wreaking havoc and being a bad admiral. So it's super fantastic to see Smoker, Tashigi, Law, Luffy, Robin, Frankie all together, and they're going to be working together in order to take down Caesar, who has actually turned out to be a lot more powerful than I gave him credit for to begin with. Oh, and I also forgot to mention that Brownbeard is alive. He was revealed to be alive a couple of chapters back, and I'm kind of glad he's alive. I felt bad for him. A lot of Luffy's new moves I am absolutely loving. Gum Gum UFO, and he's like spinning in the air. That's so awesome. I love that. I also really appreciate Zoro and Luffy as a team. And this moment actually reminded me of Water 7, when Zoro really had to give a talking to Luffy about being a captain and, you know, taking the whole captain thing seriously too, when it came to Usopp and him undermining Luffy as a captain. So we had Zoro say to Luffy, main careless will get you killed and then it's game over. Do the job right, the new world starts from here. And then Luffy's even like, yeah, sorry, I won't be careless again. And you can really tell, like, Luffy does appreciate and value Zoro's advice and his words of warning sometimes. Just funny, though, that he does the UFO move and then Zoro's like, I told you to take it seriously. It's so good. It's so good because it really does demonstrate how different they are, but yet they still work so brilliantly together. But I could feel the tension music as people were running, as this gas, this slime creature thing, this weapon of mass murder spreads across the land, and they're running inside the lab and they're trying to fix the door to make sure that it doesn't get in, and then boom, you know, it hits. And I love the sounds that are made in the panels too, like the puff and the grr, and you can hear it groaning, and it's so atmospheric. It's probably my favourite moment of the arc so far. I do love the intense chase sequence and the tension music that was playing in my head during it. It's extremely spooky, and I love the fact that Brook can use his power where he can sort of, I think, let his soul wander, and he can look around and he tells everyone, hey, it's like the land of the dead out here, you know? It's such a cool power, such a cool gift. Smoker is going after Virgo. Now we can really explore what happens when a Vice Admiral is doing something corrupt. and what another one can do, because not everyone in the Navy is corrupt, not everyone in the Navy is bad, and a lot of them do have good hearts and they want to do what's right. It's just, what is right now? What's right in the world of the pirates right now? So having Smoker going after Virgo, the law says a man can't take matters into his hands, Tashigi, but I ain't gonna stand by and let him make a mockery of the Navy. So I really do respect the hell out of Smoker and his partnership with Tashigi. Like, it's so good to see the two sides. We have the pirates, again, like so many clashes of things. We have the pirates fighting with Caesar and his awful plan, and then we have Smoker, Tashigi, Virgo, and like how the two worlds do collide. I feel like this entire arc has been such a good one to explore opposites and how they really work well together sometimes, or they really do clash. That is volume 68 done. And now we are on to volume 69. Wahey! This one feels so much more thicker than the previous one. Why are these volumes getting bigger and bigger? There's 12 chapters in this one. There was 11 in the previous one. I'm pretty sure 10 in a few of the other ones. It's a chunky boy. Oh, I'm starting to feel a little bit bad for the G5 Marines that kind of really wanted Tashigi to be safe, and they've ended up being caught by the poisonous gas and turned into whatever it is they're turned into. They're Tashigi's crew, you know? And you have to think of it like, yes, these people are against us half the time, but they're still a family, just like the Straw Hats are a family. They need to get somewhere that will be the only way out of Punk Hazard safely, and it's all in the lab, and Caesar has commanded one of the gates to be closed so that they can't get through. However, most of them made it through, apart from these Navy people, which is so sad. And yeah, it's a race against the clock kind of scenario. I love this interaction between Zoro and Tashigi here, while Tashigi is trying to control her men. And like, the Straw Hats, forget about them right now. We need to go, we need to leave, we need to be safe. And Tashigi ends up blocking Zoro so that both bodies could escape, really. Like, she tries to defuse the situation. And she knows, like, she is such a good judge of character in a way. But now, like, she really does what's kind of best for people in the moment. I feel like that's kind of who she is. It looks like Virgo is going after Smoker and Tashigi. And Chopper ran away. It looks like Monet saw, but she hasn't done anything about it. So I think she's the one who sent the note. I think she's on the side. And also Chopper, because I forgot about the children for a second. Chopper's on his way to the children because he's figured out how the drug works and he's got a sedative that he can use. So yeah, I totally forgot about them. And we do need to save them still. So Chopper, that's his purpose, isn't it, as a doctor? His purpose is now to help the children. And I like that. Oh, it says in the SBS corner that there was a One Piece short manga called Monsters that came out a very long time ago. And someone said it resembled the scene of Ryuma the samurai being a dragon. And yeah, Oda seems to have been inspired by it. All I really remember is that Ryuma, the protagonist, was something of an original model for Zoro, and he sliced the dragon in half in a big, huge panel. I chose not to reread the old story, preferring to simply draw another big panel dragon slicing scene from scratch. Go ahead and compare my decapitations from age 19 and 38. That's actually really cool. Using the inspirations from his stories from before, amazing. Oh my gosh, I have one bar of battery, it's probably going to die. So I'm going to have to talk about this one pretty quickly then. Virgo, like, he's doing that to the Navy. He has some kind of like finger pistol thing, and he's just killing them left, right, and centre. I mean, the people say it's fatal and there's blood dripping down from his finger. That's god awful. He is honestly scum. He is honestly scum. He has been saying that all of these reports were just fake reports about the children being kidnapped. Oh, he is scum. So it's like child trafficking and being part of this weapon of mass murder. Like, he is a war criminal. He is a war criminal, wow. And he's infiltrated the Navy. He's an admiral. He's so high up. And these people trust him, and he just shoots them down. Oh, that's so sad. And poor Tashigi as well. I was hoping she would be able to put up more of a fight. I was hoping for a fight between Tashigi and this Virgo person. But freaking Sanji. Like, I'm glad he's there. I am. He's going to help, I'm sure. But when he said, I heard the sound of a lady's teardrops falling, I was like, fuck off. But I do hope that he helps. If anything, I would have preferred it if Zoro and Tashigi fought together, because they have a lot more of a complicated history, and Tashigi did remind Zoro of his childhood friend who died. So I would have preferred like that kind of combination rather than Sanji coming to save the day. This guy scares me. He's actually quite scary. Like that's... Oh, that's awful. Oh my god, but the start of the chapter was so funny. The fact that everyone was on the back of Brownbeard in his, like, alligator tail thing. Like, everyone's just sitting on him. Everyone's just getting a ride on Brownbeard. And he's just like, get off, it's starting to get heavy. And they're like, oh, we're all sick and tired of running. He's like, get off, it's not a good reason. The samurai is asking for a detour so that he can save his son. I do hope we get to save his son in this arc. They're asking if there's cold. They're hanging their coats up. It's hilarious. And amongst all of this chaos, all of this death, and we're still getting really light moments like this. It's so funny. I really shouldn't be having a coffee right now. I woke up with a bit of a headache, had a coffee, gave me more of a headache. And this is my second coffee. But I can't get through the day without it. It is getting better though. I started reading One Piece again this morning and it's like it's curing me. It's healing me. So I still think Monet is on our side because she does reveal that Doflamingo, aka Joker, which Luffy knew. When she said Joker, he was like, what, that flamingo guy? So I feel like I should have known that Joker was the Doflamingo guy. Is that just like his nickname that was put in one of those panels in Sabri Archipelago maybe? You know how sometimes it has like the box with Captain Eustace Kid, Bounty, whatever. Sometimes it has a nickname in there too. I must have just forgotten that his nickname is Joker. If anything happens to the master, Joker will get rid of me. So she really does need to protect Caesar Clown with her life. And now she's like stood in the way between Caesar and Luffy so that he can get away. There was a bit of a battle between Caesar and Luffy first, which I really liked because, you know, we have two people coming together, both of them kind of adapting to one another's abilities, and we have like Luffy stretching his neck up so that he can get away from the oxygen being taken away from the air, which Caesar Clown can do, even though Luffy is kind of immune to poison and toxic and all of that kind of stuff that you learn from Impel Down. There are still things that Caesar Clown can do that can really affect Luffy. So I really like the adaptation of fighting styles within this. I always appreciate fights where that happens rather than just a bit of gum this, a bit of gum that. And I always love it as well when our Straw Hats are fighting. So say Sanji, as he's fighting Virgo, Sanji says something like, my captain hates people like you, as in people who betray their team, betray their people. And that's what Sanji is fighting for right now. And I love that. And there's not really much of a fight between Sanji and Virgo just yet. But I believe more things are happening here. And yeah, one thing I'm kind of starting to lose interest with in this arc is the setting. I'm not really sure I like the whole laboratory setting because it seems all like samey to me. It's starting to not be as interesting because one of the things I absolutely love about One Piece are the different set pieces. Like we have such different visuals arc to arc half the time. And I just feel like this, you know, stone cold walls, you know, the pipes and the big doors, they just don't really interest me all that much. So yeah, I feel like we're losing me a little bit with the setting. I much preferred it when it was outside and we had the clash between ice and fire. But now it's just a little bit like, oh yeah, I'm sure I've seen this room before. If not, it looks just like another room that I've seen. Oh no. What? The dragon is the samurai's son? Shut the front door. The one who went into the forbidden secret room and turned into a little dragon, you know, Momonosuke. Oh my god. And they're fighting him, like including his dad. They're fighting them. I don't think they've killed the dragon. I think they've just subdued it. They need to do something quick. Like, the children need to tell them. Because what if they end up killing the dragon like they did with the first one? Oh. But what a time to reveal this. Seriously. What a time to reveal this. Chopper, for some reason, is in monster form and seems to be attacking the children. I don't know. Well, either it was an accident, you know, transforming into his monster form, or he did on purpose because maybe something he can do in monster form will help them. Because he said he had a sedative or something, like something that would help with their drug addiction. It looks like as well, Doflamingo, like I do like him in the terms of like he's got style. I absolutely love what he's wearing. I think he's like really incredibly interesting, but he wants to kill Law. I think he's ordered Virgo to kill Law, and I love Law right now, so how dare you? And he's in Dressrosa, which is the next arc. So I'm picturing that this saga, which is called the Dressrosa Saga in general, I think, with Punk Hazard and Dressrosa, It's like one big story probably. So I feel like we will get more of Doflamingo, which I'm really happy about actually, because he is far more charismatic. Likeable, it's debatable, but as a villain, as an antagonist, he's definitely a lot more interesting than Caesar Salad. So I absolutely cannot wait to come face to face with Doflamingo again. It was really sweet of the Navy men to worry about Sanji when the doors were closing and he would be on the other side with the poison gas. Like, the Navy people were actually like, it looks like they're crying. They're crying because they're like, the poor guy, Blackleg. And they're overjoyed when they see Sanji come out. And it's like, oh my god, it's Blackleg. Like, it's such a nice moment. Like, it's so sweet considering these Marines are, well, against the pirates, like, or they're supposed to be against the pirates, and they're cheering that he's out. So yeah, Sanji is out, and then he says, "Shut your filthy yaps." I'm like, Sanji hasn't really been someone who treats people well in general. Like, he doesn't even treat women well, in my opinion. Just the way he objectifies them, pursues them, sexually harasses them, and all of that. Like, he just doesn't treat people well. And, like, of course they're Marines. They are against one another. Like, they showed so much compassion there and so much kindness. And Sanji is just so unlikable right now. Like, he's been unlikable for a little while now. But he's just genuinely... Yeah. And I know I'll probably get a lot of dislikes for my Sanji rants these days. But it's fine. It's just like how I feel about him right now. I'm still holding out hope that he does get better. But... yeah, I just don't like the way he treats people. Men and women. Oh my god, somebody asked in the SBS corner, Order, why did Caesar demand Law's heart? You'd figure that demanding his penis instead would be more damaging to Law. Then Order's like, what about the visuals? What's more impactful? Caesar holding a penis? Or Caesar holding Law's heart, you know? Because that's just hilarious. Like, I wouldn't be able to take this arc seriously had it been that. Anyway, yeah, a pretty exciting chapter, trying to get the kids to stop them from getting the candy. So we have Chopper in monster form. That was why he was in monster form. He was just trying to get them to stop going to the biscuits room. And then we also have Robin try and stop them with her big hands. And yeah, they're just violent little shits, essentially. And I can't wait for the children thing to be over. Not gonna lie, it's not really captivating me as much as I thought it would. At this point, it's getting a little bit too long. Even though, like, this is like a shorter arc than, say, Fishman Island, it's feeling long at the minute. Luffy's fallen down to the trash dump. Oh, and now is where it's gonna start getting exciting, I think, because Smoker has finally caught up with, Mr. Virgo. So I cannot wait to see the fight between them because Smoker has so much anger in him. And I cannot wait to see, because I do really like Smoker. I think he's going to give Mr. Virgo a run for his money. And we need to get Low's heart back as well because Mr. Virgo keeps squeezing it and like causing so much pain to Low. And I really don't like seeing him in pain. I don't. I feel very protective of Law right now. What I like about this arc, actually, is that it is really making me sympathise for the Marines a little bit more and the Navy people. It's making them seem a lot more human. And they seem to be such collateral damage in this arc too. It seems whenever the Land of the Dead starts coming towards them, like, it's mainly the Navy guys, the Marines, who are getting blasted with this thing and frozen or whatever it is that it does to them. And I feel bad for them. I actually do. And to see Smoker with his fight with Mr. Virgo, you ain't laying a finger on my soldiers, away from the base, the captain is responsible for their lives. And they do have some really great morals. Like, a lot of them do. I mean, especially after Marineford, I had such a disliking to anything Navy related because of how attached I was to the characters that were suffering the most. And I felt like the pirates were suffering the most, like Ace, for example, and like Luffy. So I also sometimes forget that there is a whole other side to the pirates and the Navy. You know, it's always refreshing to get a character like Smoker, Tashigi in their sort of crew to remind me that this world is not just black and white. So I am really rooting for Smoker. So far it feels very personal, this fight, and I can feel the anger through the movements. Like, there is a lot of movement in the action in this fight. A lot of hits trying to be thrown and so many sound effects too, which just kind of shows how quick in fast this fight is going. Because Smoker is out for blood. He wants vengeance. He wants to restore the good name of the Navy. He wants to avenge his crew. He is honestly such a great, great character. Also, this Caesar person, he is a good actor. I'll give him that. He's a good actor to his loyal followers. The poor loyal followers are so gullible. And I know I am half the time. Like, I believed so many people when they said Murphy loved Carabao, and then obviously that turned out to be false. But these loyal followers are way more gullible than I am. He's very good with words, and he's twisting what happened in the past as well with Vegapunk's failed experiment thing when it had exploded. It was because of this guy. It was because of Caesar. Caesar had suggested that they get children for the experiments, and Vegapunk was like, you're going too far with this. You're exiled from the science division. And then on his way out, it looks like Caesar pulls some kind of lever. Pull the lever, Kronk! And that's what set off the explosion 4 years before. So really, it's Caesar's fault for all of that. So I'm glad we got clarification there, as well as Caesar's intent of becoming the most renowned scientist in the world. And he's covering up this weapon of mass murder by acting like it's going to be saving innocent lives, and it's supposed to wipe out pirates, and the innocent lives that get lost are collateral damage, as he says. And we end the chapter as well with Luffy meeting the samurai's son in dragon form. So I'm really glad this dragon is not dead. And also the fact that he can talk. I don't think it's like the first dragon where it was actually the samurai who was talking through his arse. This one, I think it is actually the samurai's son talking as the dragon, I think. Unless he passed down his gift to be able to fart talk. Does anybody else think that the layout of the laboratory looks like Mickey Mouse's ears? Like, that looks like Mickey Mouse. Okay, we had a man-made devil fruit in this, which is really interesting and really cool. Like, the possibilities of what that can do in the future if more man-made devil fruits were made. I mean, anything could happen with it, right? In the wrong hands, it could be really catastrophic. And especially since, what's his name again? The samurai's son, Momonosuke, he ate the man-made devil fruit that Dr. Vegapunk had made. And they thought it was a failure, but when he ate it, he became a dragon. Which is so awesome, and hopefully he can turn back. Luffy did say, like, why don't you just, like, turn back then? And he's like, what? I can do that? So hopefully he does learn how to do that. And especially when he gets reunited with his dad, like, that's going to be so sweet. Also, how dare Monet stab Robin through the shoulder? How dare you? Absolutely nobody impales my Robin. No one. I don't know why she thought she could do that and get away with it. Luffy's interactions with the dragon as well is hilarious, because, like, Luffy's just drooling the entire time. He's already ate dragon. He knows how tasty it is. So it's actually kind of scary that he's still thinking about, dragon, as this dragon is talking. Like, is there anything Luffy will not eat? But bless him, his backstory is a bit sad. Like, he didn't want anything to do with the other children. He was very solitary. And even though the other children were like, hey, have some of this, and we've also been taken away from our parents too, and like trying to reach out to him, you know, he's very closed off, very guarded, mainly because he is a samurai. And that's just what he does. But you can see like how sad he is and how much he wants to make like friends and stuff, but he's just kind of conditioned himself not to. Ooh, are Tashigi and Zoro going to fight side by side? Because that would be incredible to watch. Especially if they're going to both be against Monet. And Zoro made a good point, actually. It seems like Monet only does defensive moves rather than actually attacks. Apart from when she impaled Robin, of course. So this should be interesting to see two people from opposing sides fight together. Just like Smoker and Law are pretty much fighting side by side against Mr. Virgo. The side thing, things clashing, working together. Look, it's the biggest theme of this arc. In you know what, this could become important later on. You know, I'm imagining that by the time we get to the end of One Piece, it won't really be about sides. It will be about working together, despite, you know, for the longest time being on opposite sides. Looking past, you know, differences in social status and all of that to, I don't know what's going to happen by the end. Is there going to be a big battle in One Piece? Is there going to be the biggest villain of all time to conquer, who's going to like take over the world? I don't know. But I feel like the Punk Hazard arc has been really good at showing us that theme. You know, I feel like Sanji and the Marines are like starting to become a little bit more friendly, especially when they come across Zoro, and the Marines are like, hey pal, there's no kids here, just pirate hunter Zoro. And then Sanji's like, oh, he's a cheeky bastard, he is, follow my lead, men, pull your lower lip out and taunt him. So all of them are running along, sticking their tongues out at Zoro as they're passing. And Zoro's like, I so hope they slip on the snow, hit their heads and die. It's hilarious. One of the things I do like about Sanji is his rivalry, or like friendly rivalry almost, with Zoro. As you can tell, I'm really conflicted with Sanji. I really am. But finally too, we have more child versions of characters. We have Magellan there, Hannibal, Sadie, Saldeth, and Domino. And they are so cute. And look at poor Magellan. He's like trying to, I don't know, water some flowers, but his toxicity is killing the flowers. Bless him. Also, freaking Carabao. Carabao's escaped. I mean, the kind of arguing between Zoro and Tashigi to begin this chapter was hilarious to watch. And it's cool to see that Tashigi still remembers the conversation she had with Zoro about her looking like his childhood friend. So that kind of has stuck with her. And I don't know if anything's really going to come from this other than, I guess, just to develop that underlying bond between them. Because I feel chemistry here. In a way, like, I'm not exactly saying romantic, but, you know, just chemistry in terms of the way that they bounce off one another, I think. Zoro can be very patronizing. I love the fact that Tashigi fights back everything he says. I feel like Zoro says these things to push her, to help her to realize her true full potential. I could be wrong on that. I could absolutely be wrong on that because it's kind of hard to read Zoro at times. But it was just hilarious how he just sat by so that Tashigi can just like sort out the fight with Monet to begin with. And it's like, my job is to keep it from going after my people. As long as the hobby is protected, I'm fine with that. She's just like arguing with him. And I bet Monet's just like, what's going on here? So it probably lulled her into a false sense of security too. Because after a pretty good match between Tashigi and Monet, Zoro does step in and slices her in half. And that is rather grim. That is rather grim. I mean, and she doesn't die because he didn't use Haki on her. Like, he could have. He could have ended her right there and then. Now she can't control her body. Paralyzed by the knowledge that if he'd used Haki, she would be dead. That is extremely grim. And plus, does Law have her heart still? I think Law still has Monet's heart. So, would she even really be able to die without that? I don't know. I don't know the logistics of the heart thing. But wow, I mean, Tashigi did cut her down at the end, saying cut and missed. And now you have lost. So I don't know if she's just KO'd or actually dead. I think just KO'd. Like, what about her heart? Oh, that poor selfless child. What is her name? Mocha? Is that how you pronounce it? I felt so bad for her. She really pretty much sacrificed herself so that the other kids didn't get the candy. By swallowing it, which was the only option she really had at the time. Oh, that is... Oh, bless. The coughing of blood is worrying. Oh, but the exchange with Chopper at the end. I know you protected your friends, thanks, Matcha. Now you can all go back home. We'll all be saved, even you. You're going to be a grown-up one day, I swear. Oh, if she dies. Did love that Sanji and the Navy did catch up with all the children and managed to subdue them. So that is awesome. They're going to be fine. So hopefully now we can like focus away from the children and, you know, go to Caesar and back to Law, Smoker. The things that I'm really interested in this arc. Like, I am going to be glad if the children are okay. Don't get me wrong. I'm just excited to focus on something else. I am protected by Doflamingo and an Emperor. Do you really have the guts to pick a fight with the likes of them? That's never stopped me before. Yeah, well, like, we're talking about the guy who declared war on the world government. I mean, come on. He literally showed up in Marineford, probably the weakest person there, and did what he did in order to save his brother. Like, come on. There is absolutely no way Luffy is stopping just because of these huge plans. Like, these plans that Doflamingo has, that these really powerful people have, are terrifying. They're putting together an army of hundreds of Zoans thanks to the Smile Fruit. What is Smile, you ask? A man-made devil fruit of the Zoan persuasion, a fruit desired by all who seek power. He then cuts deals with the truly big players in the New World. So there's like this whole ring thing going on, this whole operation that Doflamingo is kind of orchestrating in a way. I think that's probably the right way to put it. Yeah, the thing that Caesar is making, SAD, he ships it off to Doflamingo's factory and it's turned into the fruit. The more I've read of this arc, the more I have realised that the ramifications of what's happening here are huge. It still doesn't mean that I've truly loved this arc, even though it has felt more important as I've read on. And I think it's probably more of a setup for the next arc, which is Dressrosa. So yeah, I feel like maybe this is suffering a little bit from being a sort of setup kind of thing. I mean, I say suffer. It's not like suffering as in it's bad. But yeah, I'm already looking forward to ending this arc. I did appreciate Brownbeard though trying to reveal the plans of Caesar and the fact that everyone's just guinea pigs there. And it's really sad to see everyone laughing at Brownbeard as he can't really speak because of Caesar, but he's still trying so hard to reveal the truth, to save them, and to save his crew. And that's what rings true with Luffy. When he comes and helps Brownbeard, he absolutely despises people like Caesar, and I can't wait for Luffy to actually kick his ass, because it's been a long time coming now. It's felt like a long time coming. So this punch at the very end, oh, so satisfying. It's up there with Luffy punching a celestial dragon for me. The Paramount War was nothing more than a prologue. Stop. Because that's freaking me out. Surely there can't be anything worse. There can't be anything worse coming. And it didn't feel like a prologue. It felt like the main event. More fantastic fighting in this. I'm so glad Law got his heart back. So yeah, now he is kind of safe, kind of not. I don't know if Mr. Virgo is defeated. Law did cut him in half, which, you know, like, it probably doesn't mean too much. Like, he's probably not down. He'll get right back up, I'm sure, and continue the fight. But yeah, Doflamingo is apparently he's like this big mob boss person who is organizing and orchestrating so much crime and has so many connections to crime warlords. He has access to guns, weapons, drugs. If it's dangerous, he has a hand in it. He controls the darkness of the New World. So Doflamingo was like a lot more of a villain than I originally thought. He's a huge deal. Which I thought he would be a pretty big deal. But like the way that Caesar's framing it, it's like he is the final boss, almost. Like, we've just arrived at the New World and we're already getting all of this darkness about it and all of the corruption within it and the roles that people are playing in this. So like Doflamingo is like, he's a major boss. We're gonna have a major boss battle with him. So that is incredibly scary. But like Luffy is just whipping Caesar's ass. Just whipping. I almost forgot Usopp existed in this arc, not gonna lie. He hasn't really done a whole lot. He's really been just more background stuff, but he has come across a room with some of the bad guys in it. Not really much to say about that. I was just shocked to see Usopp again. Smoker is down, but he put up a really good fight. And it did mean that Law has got his heart back because of that. So like they must have worked really well together. I'm kind of sad we missed out on a lot of the fight there, but it's fine. You know, I feel like we couldn't focus too much on one thing when so much was going on at once. But I have finished volume 69 and now I'm on volume 70. The implications that some peaceful countries want this weapon, this land of the dead weapon, which really is an awful weapon of mass destruction. And that is the point, of course. In the fact that two peaceful countries want it. Caesar and Doflamingo and everyone are playing like this huge game, and it looks like there will be so many casualties, so much collateral damage if this happens. So the stakes of this arc in what I assume the Dressrosa arc will do is massive, because if this gets out, then it really could spell potentially like the end of the world. Maybe that's over dramatic, but just seeing what it does to these people, a weapon like that, it's just unreal. It really is a good job that Luffy decided to come to this island rather than any of the other ones. I got big. Was it Enies Lobby when Usopp was hyping Luffy up? I mean, they're not in the same room or anything, but when Usopp was talking to the bad guys about Luffy and them slating Luffy, and he's like, don't ever slander my captain in front of my face, he looks out for the Straw Hats with his life. And Luffy really will never forgive Caesar for what he's done to his own people, betraying them, using them as collateral damage, as guinea pigs. You can really see the anger on Luffy's face. Like, he's really taken this to heart, and it is every single moral that Luffy stands for is reversed in Caesar. Again, we have the opposites. We have the clashing of the two in this arc, and that we kind of do need both sides. We do need the light, we do need the darkness, because without one we don't really have the other kind of thing. And it is all pretty exciting in this chapter. as we are approaching the end. Yeah, I was too hyped in the moment to remember that Luffy and Law had an agreement to kidnap Caesar Clown, and now I understand why, because now that Caesar Clown is out, Doflamingo is like taking him. He sent, is it Baby Five and Buffalo? I think they're part of his pirate crew. And they are very interesting. I'm already quite like invested in what the hell, because Baby Five, like, she hates Doflamingo because he's killed like 8 of her fiancés. Like, why are you working for him? You know what I mean? It's kind of awful that he's done that. And then yeah, Buffalo looks incredibly odd too. So like they already seem so interesting. Like I'm already quite invested in the next arc. Like now I want this one to be over so I can get to Dressrosa. Because yeah, they've taken Caesar Clown, and now like we haven't defeated the bad guy of this arc, so I imagine we're carrying this over into the next arc, which honestly is fine by me. I think this was a good little setup for what's to come. But it does mean that Law's plan to kidnap him has kind of blown up in his face because of Luffy. But yeah, I was also caught up in the fight. I did want him to be vanquished and like blasted through the wall and stuff. So, and apparently Usopp did beat every single one of the bad guys in that room when he was talking to them. I really do wish that we had saw that though, because I feel like Usopp was a little bit underutilized in this arc, which it is hard to be able to let certain Straw Hats shine all the time in these arcs when there are so many characters at play. In Frankie, again, I almost forgot that he was here too, but at the end we have, I think, General Frankie heading towards Baby Fab and Buffalo. So that is like kind of exciting. I wonder if we'll have a moment for Frankie to shine in this. But I mean, some of the fights that we've had in this arc have been like a little bit glossed over, and we kind of just like skipped ahead to the end result. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's exactly what happens in the next chapter. Or if they just avoid a fight completely. Oh my god, this has like suddenly become very serious again. Sometimes I can't handle like the up and down of this arc. It genuinely feels like I'm going like this each chapter. But Monet is alive, and Doflamingo's is pretty much like telling her to act a little bit like a suicide bomber, essentially, because there is another lever or another button to press that had destroyed the first 2 labs in the past. There is another switch that will release the gas, and Caesar will be the only one who will be able to survive. So this will actually wipe out the entire island, because we're still on this. We're trying to get off, trying to get out, and if Monet presses this button, then like that's everyone gone apart from Caesar. That's honestly awful. And I think Caesar has Smoker's heart, I think he said, when he was like on the floor and on the ground as Frankie is fighting Baby Five and Buffalo. Great fight, by the way. Really do like the chaos of it and the explosions and how epic that looked. That was a really cool fight. Probably like one of my favourites. Is Monet going to actually do it? Like, who helped Chopper before then? Wow, so Law switched Smoker's and Monet's hearts and gave Caesar the heart that belonged to Monet. So that when Caesar stabbed the heart, he was killing Monet. Oh, that is ruthless. I mean, obviously Law wouldn't know exactly what Caesar would do. However, if he thought that he had Smoker's heart, he was obviously going to damage it somehow. So I think in the back of Law's mind, he knew what was going to happen. I mean, she was about to set off an explosion that was going to hurt everyone. So I'm glad. Like, it's the way it happened. It's an awful way to go. An awful way to go to have Caesar do that. Gosh. And Doflamingo is on his way to Punk Hazard now as well. The way he looks so sinister. He is scaring me right now. His eyes, his face, everything. He is very bird-like, which is the point because, you know, flamingo. But, like, the way his hands are, they're like claws almost. Or, like, the claws of a bird. I just love his design, let's just say. I love his design. It's quite freaky. His eyes are terrifying. They are just, like, black voids. And his smile is menacing, too. Oh, I can't wait for us to come face to face with him again. I was thinking we would wait until Dressrosa for that to happen, but he's literally flying. He's flying to Punk Hazard right now. Oh, and I also forgot to say that the samurai got caught up in the land of the dead. So his son, I think, has managed to get his body. So hopefully he can somehow waken him up. Hopefully there is a reversal to this land of the dead thing that they can get, because I do want that reunion between them. I'm really rooting for them to be reunited. What a twist with Monet. Oh, that's so sad for her. And I like that Frankie is still holding up strong against Baby Five. Although her powers are weird, and I really like it. Like, she transformed her body into like this cannon. Her entire body is a weapon, so it's not surprising that she can do that. It's just so awesome to see. Okay, Oda heard me, and now I'm eating my own words, like, straight away. How does he do that? That man? Is he watching me right now? So yeah, Usopp and Nami at the end of this really, really came out swinging and just showed how incredible they are. Love the fact that they could work together as well. Nami using her climate attack and setting this like whole thundercloud above the people escaping. Baby Five and Buffalo with Caesar. And then Usopp, being the sharpshooter that he is, managing to get them down, as well as his final move being like the sea prism shackles thing. Honestly amazing, so good. I loved seeing that happen, and to see Law also be witness to how great the Straw Hats are. They can be goofy, they can be all over the place every now and then, but they do come through on their promises. So, I mean, they still need to grab Caesar. I'm sure there's going to be no problems there, unless Doflamingo is that fast and he does appear before them and stops them from taking him. But so far, it's in our favour, which is great. Also, there was a mysterious person at the end. I do not think that's Doflamingo, because apparently they took a nap. Or I think I overslept. So which way is Punk Hazard? That doesn't sound like Doflamingo. So I don't think that is Doflamingo. I don't know who it is. But my absolute favourite panel right there. Usopp and Nami standing up. And I love the fact that because Baby Five and Buffalo are running away, they're flying away, they have their backs turned to them. So even Usopp said something like, leave the enemies with their backs turned to us, or to me even. And Nami, I've done enough running, I want in on the offense. It's like, yeah, this is your time to shine. In this panel too, actually, there's a lot of panels I loved in this chapter. They're enemies, that's what Law says about Baby Five and Buffalo. And they're all standing there like, oh, where are the lines? Like, even Smoker's there in the background. What an odd team right now. We've really crossed different paths in this, changed affiliations in a way, working together. It is actually quite brilliant. And now finally we are out of the laboratory, and I'm just happy to have some kind of change of scenery. And it looks like Luffy is planning on taking down Shanks eventually. When Law said that he wants to take down Kaido, I think is the first emperor that he wants to take down, kill, the agreement that he had with Luffy ages ago now. But Luffy's plan is to crush all four of the emperors. But I guess that makes sense. If he's on his way to become king of the pirates, he would probably have to do that. But that includes Shanks. So, a fight between Luffy and Shanks? Really? Oh, it's kind of hard to imagine. I imagine it would be epic though, but it just seems strange. I can't picture it right now. Okay. Right, the kids are fine, the kids are safe, and I love this moment. It shows Law's sense of humour, and it's so similar to Robin's actually. And Chopper, what were you doing to those children? So help me if you hit a hair on their heads. I told you not to peek tonight. I was just inside cutting their bodies into pieces. And he has this like shadowy look on his face. Like, that is such dark humour that Robin also has. When Robin assumes the worst has happened to people. He's really just messed with Chopper there. That's hilarious. But he did use his powers to help get rid of like the drugs from their system and stuff, because that is part of his powers, which is like so cool. But yeah, they're gonna have to go through a lot of rehab. And yeah, they're gonna be fine. They're gonna be able to get home to their parents. The Navy's gonna look after them. The good Navy is in Tashigi, Smoker. They're gonna get them to safety. Yeah, it seems like we are coming down to a close on this arc, so things have calmed right down. Oh yeah, and I'm so glad that the samurai and his son were reunited. Oh, it's just, especially when you see just how stoic he is trying to be, like the kid, Momonosuke. He is trying so hard to show no weakness or like any kind of wobble at all. And yet his dad is like, hey, sit, eat, take it all in. You haven't eaten in a long time. It's delicious. And then he finally lets himself do that with his father. It was so sweet. It was so nice. I'm glad that the samurai managed to become unpetrified, unfrozen. So good. It's a happily ever after. Ooh, Law can be quite ruthless when he wants to be. The deal he's presented to Doflamingo is incredibly risky. I feel like I'm watching something I shouldn't be watching. Like, this is bigger than anything I can possibly imagine. The rivalry now between Law and Doflamingo, yeah, it's huge, and they want to take down Kaido. who I believe is the one who Shanks fought on his way to Marineford, I think. So that's the one that they kind of want to take down, and he wants Doflamingo to quit the Seven Warlords and just turn into a regular pirate, and that's his deal, that's his terms, and he will get Caesar back. He has to leave Dressrosa if he steps down, which I don't think he will. I don't think he will. But I love the transponder snail, and I love the fact that Law has the heads of his people there, and he doesn't have the rest of their bodies there. It's kind of like, hey, Doflamingo, like, this is the deal. And it's just like, it's so clever, it's so smart, and it really does highlight how brilliant a character Law is. The goodbyes to the children as well was really sweet, especially with the Navy saying, oh, we're not allowing you to say goodbye to the pirates. If we don't keep talking mess about them, then we can't help but admit that we love those lawless vagabonds, even though they're pirates. And Tashigi's laughing. And Smoker's like, oh, for God's sake, like, what's going on? It's hilarious. But I'm glad the kids are off safe now. They're gone. I believe this is the last we'll see of Smoker and Tashigi for a little while too. I feel like we've probably left Punk Hazard already, especially if Doflamingo's like, where are you, Law? Because if they were still in Punk Hazard, then surely Doflamingo can just fly there and intervene. But no, he must be somewhere else. I feel like I'm starting to get a little bit over my head now. And this was chapter 697. I'm going on to 698. So that is 100 chapters of the New World I've read now. Little fun fact. Ow, Kiji's here! Or Kuzan, or whatever you want to call him. He must have been the guy who was on his way to Punk Hazard a few chapters back who overslept. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I actually really like him. Oops, pardon me, buddy. Would you mind getting off him? He's an old friend. Yes. Okay, I was kind of scared for Smoker because it looked like Doflamingo was going to kill him. And they're on Punk Hazard right now. So this must be bringing back memories for Kuzan. Should I call him Kuzan or Akiji? I'll call him Akiji for now because that's what I've always called him. I never know when they have different names, multiple aliases. I never know which one to use. But you all know who I mean. But yeah, we are on our way to Dressrosa now. We're going to destroy the factory that's manufacturing the Smile, which is the devil fruit, the man-made devil fruit that's giving people powers, although it's kind of unstable. They don't really know a whole great deal about it. This is why we need Caesar. This is why we've kidnapped him. Yeah, like, and I'm so glad though, because Law is part of our crew right now. Like, he hasn't joined the Straw Hats, but they've got this alliance, which I'm so excited to see play out, because I've never seen the Straw Hats in an alliance like this before. So it'll be really interesting to see how they approach the Dressrosa arc. And also the Samurai needs to get to Dressrosa too, because they're keeping someone captive who, one of my people is being held there, so someone from Wano must be there. Oh, I'm just loving all the connections to all of these things that we've been mentioning every now and then, sprinkling in for arcs and arcs and arcs now. And if Doflamingo is the main antagonist of the next arc, then I am mega pumped for it, because as much as I do like Holly Jones and I think he served a great purpose, and Caesar as well, he was rather formidable, I'm still waiting for that perfect combination of a antagonist who has the personality as well as the power. And I feel like Holly Jones lacked the personality, and I felt like Caesar, I mean, he did have some personality and he did have the power, but you know, he isn't on the same level as like Crocodile, for instance, or like CP9 and Rob Lucci, and you know, people like that, people who were antagonists, but they kind of charmed me in a way. Like, Doflamingo is a charming antagonist, I would say. Yeah, I've got one chapter left of this arc, but I'm already super pumped for Dressrosa. Interesting. So Doflamingo did step down, and he is no longer king of Dressrosa. So I wasn't expecting him to actually do that. I don't think I have any thoughts or opinions on that. I don't know what this is going to entail, and I don't think I need to know right now. But it was a good little end chapter. It was funny with the samurai kid. Robin being like a mother, giving him a bath, and she's like got him wrapped around her, and she just looks like so motherly. It's so nice. I do feel like he is taking advantage of himself being a child, especially when he smirks at Brooke, his dad, and Sanji, because they're jealous of him. The fact that he's actually going to be sleeping in their room that night as well. Oh, but Akiji and Doflamingo had the tiniest of battles, but Doflamingo doesn't want to fight Akiji, or Kuzan. I think I should call him Kuzan, because that's what Doflamingo calls him. And he saved Smoker, and Doflamingo's left. So he doesn't want to fight him. So there was no fight there, really. I don't know if it is important to note, though, that the Straw Hat alliance with Law was in the paper too, as well as The Kid Pirates, On-Air Pirates, and Hogan's Pirates are also forming an alliance. So many different alliances going on. I'm not 100% sure what that actually means and what it means for us as readers and the Straw Hats themselves. But it was a decent end to, I think, a decent arc. Yeah, the Punk Hazard arc is done. I felt like a lot of it was pretty much setting up the next arc, which is the Dressrosa arc. And it wasn't terrible. I do think that I really enjoyed the beginning of it more than what we ended up with. I feel like because we were kind of confined in a building that was rather unspectacular in how it was presented, I felt like it was starting to lose my attention and focus a little bit. I feel like the plot of this will tie into more of what's coming next, so it's almost kind of, but not exactly like how Jaya was to Skype here. Although I do really like Jaya on its own too. I felt like Jaya had some great standout moments. And same in this one, you know, some pretty good moments. I like the overall story, but it didn't blow me away. I think I'm a little bit underwhelmed, but not in a super bad way. I think it definitely served its purpose. And I think part of that purpose was to get me more hyped for the next arc, which I am. I'm super hyped for Dressrosa. On that note, I will probably give this a 7.5, which I think is a fantastic rating. I think it's better than Return to Sabody. I didn't enjoy it as much as Fishman Island in my head. I think I definitely did enjoy Fishman Island a bit more. I do prefer the antagonist of this, and I do prefer the story in some parts than I did in Fishman Island. But I think I was just in awe of Fishman Island more because of the themes, because of the setting, and I just like really enjoyed it overall. Whereas this one, I felt there were times when I was kind of ready for the arc to be finished so that I can get to the next one. There were some low points, you know, I was really on board with the whole body swapping thing to begin with until I realised what that actually entailed with a certain couple of characters. But that did really turn out to be such a minuscule part of this entire arc. And the children aspect of it as well, I totally get the point of it. And I enjoyed seeing some of the Straw Hat characters become almost parental in their protection of these kids. But I was kind of also ready for that to be over too. The Land of the Dead weapon thing was terrifying, I will give it that. But yeah, overall I think pretty decent arc. And I think a 7.5 is what I'm giving it. It's weird to me to think that I'm giving a decent arc a 7.5, but bear in mind the lowest I've given is a 5. So 7.5 on my scale is good. Now that we're in the new world, I feel like I might have to rethink my rating structure, especially since some of the arc formats are a little bit different than I'm used to. And just the story and the plot as well is just getting so astronomically big that I don't know my little brain can handle it. So maybe by the next arc I will reshuffle some things, I don't know. But all in all, it was decent and I'm hyped for Dressrosa now. So that is the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons and my One Piece channel members for supporting my channel. If you'd like to join my Patreon or my One Piece channel membership, then all the links are down in the description box. But yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye!